Welcome to the podcast for UCSB Film and Media Course 96, Textual Analysis. The goal of this podcast is to supplement information covered throughout the course lectures and readings. Each week a video will be posted that clarifies a significant aspect of textual analysis. This week the podcast will be focused on the concept of spatial depth as outlined in the reading from David Bordwell. Bordwell's explanation of the effects of cinematic space, or what he calls scenographic space, assumes a constructivist perspective. Constructivism is a branch of philosophy related to Bordwell's overall cognitive explanation of narrative practice. He explains, the constructivist approach treats the perceiver as constantly active, applying prototypes, slotting items into evolving template-like macrostructures, testing and revising procedures for making sense of the material. The construction combines elements of style with lived experience and narrational logic in order to construct a familiar or believable fictional world. As an example, consider two masters of cinematic depth, Orson Welles and cinematographer Greg Toland. Innovators of deep focus, these filmmakers utilize cinematic elements to emphasize spatial depth in order to reveal narrative tensions and thematic associations. In the film, Citizen Kane, cinematic depth is invoked to emphasize Kane's narrational destruction and disconnection with his past. Depth illustrates that the path to power results in isolation and regret. This scene from Citizen Kane begins after an embarrassing opera performance. Kane's old friend is writing a negative review and will be fired because of it. Here, several stylistic elements create an extreme depth within the newspaper office. Perspective is invoked through the creation of orthogonal lines, emphasized by the path between the desks and the overhead lights ending in a vanishing point at the lit back office. Lighting is used to indicate the area of importance, the confrontation in the office. Shadows are used throughout the scene to dramatize the impact of the confrontation. Overlapping contours occur with this foreground character. Figure movement is shown through Kane's path to the office. Each of these elements construct the depth of the scene. The viewer constructs a schematic map of the area, completed by contextual information. The space is huge, yet the goal of the scene is emphasized by depth cues. The impact of this character interaction, the separation of old friends, is punctuated by a following scene in which the construction of depth is repeated, removing any doubt of the scene's significance. Well, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Expect another exciting installment following the next assigned reading for the course. If you have any questions or comments regarding these podcasts, please email me at etussey@umail.ucsb.edu. Until next time, this has been Teaching Assistant Ethan Tussey, and I'll see you in class.